Aloha. Today it is Kashi and
Mr. Matt Parks.
on Boundaries podcast, where we go beyond the boundaries of what we're used to and how to expand and explore our inner realm, expand our work field, and expand the potential capacity to which we can experience and share love.
There.
Today we're going to start off with the Guru Puja, which is an invocation and appreciation of gurus and aspects of consciousness. Gurus, self, and all are synonymous. So knowing that there's guru within you and guru within everything in between the screen and all is guru, there's nothing outside of it. So to begin, we will close our eyes, facing the sky on our knees, relax our face with our spine erect, and breathe in to say Om together.
Oh. Oh. Oh.
अपवित्र पवित्रो वा सर्वावस्थाङ्गतोऽपि वा यस्मरेत् पुण्डरीकाक्ष स बाह्याभ्यन्तरशुचिः आवाहनम् नारायणं पद्मभवं वसिष्ठम् शक्तिं च तत्पुत्रपराशरं च व्यासं शुकं गौडपदं महान्तं गोविन्दयोगीन्द्रमथास्य शिष्यम् श्रीशङ्कराचार्यमथास्य पद्मपादं हस्तामलकञ्च शिष्यम् तन्त्रोदकं वार्तिककारमन्यान् अस्मद्गुरुं सन्ततमानतोऽस्मि श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयम् नमामि भगवत्पादम् शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणम् सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः यद्वारे निखिलानि लिम्पपरिषत् सिद्धिं विधत्ते निशम् श्रीमत्श्रीलसितं जगद्गुरुपदम् नत्वात्मतृप्तिं गता लोकाज्ञानपयोदपाटनदुरम् श्रीशङ्करं शर्मदम् ब्रह्माण्डसरस्वतीं गुरुवरम् ध्यायामि ज्योतिर्मयम् आवाहनं समर्पयामि श्री गुरुचरणकमलेभ्यो नमः। आसनं समर्पयामि श्री गुरुचरणकमलेभ्यो नमः। स्नानं समर्पयामि श्री गुरुचरणकमलेभ्यो नमः। वस्त्रं समर्पयामि श्री गुरुचरणकमलेभ्यो नमः। चन्दनं समर्पयामि श्री गुरुचरणकमलेभ्यो नमः। अक्षतां समर्पयामि श्री गुरुचरणकमलेभ्यो नमः। पुष्पं समर्पयामि श्री गुरुचरणकमलेभ्यो नमः। धूपं समर्पयामि श्री गुरुचरणकमलेभ्यो नमः। दीपं समर्पयामि श्री गुरुचरणकमलेभ्यो नमः। आचमनीयं समर्पयामि श्री गुरुचरणकमलेभ्यो नमः। नैवेद्यं समर्पयामि श्री गुरुचरणकमलेभ्यो नमः। आचमनीयं समर्पयामि श्री गुरुचरणकमलेभ्यो नमः। ताम्बूलं समर्पयामि श्री गुरुचरणकमलेभ्यो नमः। श्रीफलं समर्पयामि श्री गुरुचरणकमलेभ्यो नमः। रातिक्यम् पूरगौरं करुणावतारं संसारसारं भुजगेन्द्रहारं सदा वसन्तं हृदयारविन्दे भवं भवानी सहितं नमामि। आराधिक्यं समर्पयामि श्री गुरुचरणकमलेभ्यो नमः। आचमनीयं समर्पयामि श्री गुरुचरणकमलेभ्यो नमः। पुष्पाञ्जलिं गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। श्री ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं विश्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणसहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः
Thank you for that.
Excited to train to learn syllable myself. I can say like call it giggles and shits, a westernized version of that, but it's totally not accurate. So I'm excited to actually learn syllable by syllable what's being said, why it's being said.
Yeah.
The next year is my intention.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's something that's been on my mind too, of is learning the Hindi alphabet in that way, just to know how to say each syllable correctly, and then pronouncing the mantras fully like that. And it's like something recently listening to book called Flow of Grace by Krishna Das, which is a really amazing book. If you haven't, it's on Audible. It's really great. Krishna Das reads it himself, and it's just a recounting of his interactions with Maharaji, as well as his take on the I guess you wouldn't call Hanuman he's a deity, but Maharaji is said to be an incarnation of Hanuman. But so they learned the Hanuman Chalisa when they were over in India and would chant it to him. And he talks about this one time that he mispronounced one of the words, and then Maharaji like corrected him, but then he just like he got really like startled by it being corrected for saying it that way, and he like couldn't. He was like trying to say it the right way, and then Maharaji was like, "Oh, don't worry about it." It's like basically like God hears your heart, you know. So that I like to keep that in mind too when I'm chanting the Sanskrit mantras. Like, okay, even if I don't know exactly how to pronounce each one of these syllables, it's like God hears the heart.
The vibrations that are being given out to the universe still probably comes back as the energy that saying the mantra to give and take from or just you can say to merge with the infinite give and take relationship that every two-dimensional positive and negative charge. So giving out that vibrations, you always get something back. And yeah, probably your syllable or two off. It's demonic curse or something bad.
Yeah, it's like there's a whole other vibration behind the word. There's even like that's something that Kriyananda talked about when he would be listening um to Yogananda when they first were starting their community, and Yogananda would just be like talking about, oh, we gotta like fill in these potholes in the street, and we gotta, take care of this water leak that's somewhere or something. He said he's just talking about real mundane, normal stuff that they had to do during the day. But as he said, like when he would sit and like meditate and then listen, it was like those words that he was saying were just as profound as any time he was giving like a spiritual teaching, and he would just like feel like he was being pulled into samadhi just listening to him talk about general tasks they had to do. It's like it's interesting too. It reminds me, and let me just real quick, because it sounded. Uh,
I love your altar and everything, man.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, this tapestry is a painting by an artist named Luke Brown. He does some really incredible work. He sent this tapestry over to my brother, and he got a couple of them. So he gave one to me, and it's perfect for my new room because it works as the perfect size for the window. Just happened to be the exact size of the window in my new room. So, thought that was really great. But yeah, and talking about the words being the what really connects the feeling that's coming through. um, I'm just setting up this Bluetooth so that I can hear you better.
Oh wait, I mean, if you can't hear me well, I'm assuming that means no one can hear me well.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if it was just my phone or what, but
No, is this any better now?
I think so. But now I've also got you in my head.
Is it? You hear me well?
Yeah, I can hear you well now.
Okay. Okay, good.
Cool.
Sweet. During the meditation earlier, we had like instead of doing it at 7:30, we did it at 5 today. And yeah, there was a little bit of a issue sound, but I think it was just where my phone was placed. We'll get to all these episodes continue to unravel. But let's just jump right into it. So the idea for today was going to be bringing back into our own awareness how we're all on the battlefield. Excuse my pronunciation of missing a syllable here, but the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and how the karma yogi can still be the bhakti raja jnana yogi, and really all the yogis can mold into one, because yoga is the union of the body, breath, mind, the union of all things that are. So really touching on some of just in my own experience, how in my journey, and I know Matt too has some stories on how this is applicable to him, and I'm sure everybody who's ever listening to this would as well. If you've been seeking God or seeking some kind of higher consciousness or energy, or to be able to be clearer and more concise with fulfilling your mission and purpose here, or if you don't think there's one of those predestined, which I don't think I know whether or not there is or isn't, being somebody who can decide what their purpose is and how to effectively be in action and in the motion and flow of life, instead of being somebody who's a renunciate that is like, oh, I don't want sex, oh, I don't want anything of this world yet. Shitty example, sorry if I'm poking you in your buttons, if Mr. or Mrs. listener. Oh, I don't want money, I don't want anything, yet you live at your mom's house, and like, and like you're just like flexing like, oh, I don't need anything, I don't need money, but like there's a lot of other things that kind of are being negatively impacted maybe by some of these renouncing things, or maybe it's if it's not negatively impacting, it's still negatively impacting because you're not able to give love and be able to let God move through you as a vessel and a conduit to share God's love. And that's definitely been very applicable in my life in regards to thinking that, oh, I am immediately going to be a brahmachari who doesn't, who's just celibate now, and thinking that, and then seeing how temporary that whole thing plays out. Or, oh, I don't need money, I don't want anything. But then seeing how, well, I don't have shit. My behaviors are a little unhealthy because I can't feed myself nourishing foods and things like that. So I've definitely went through the phases, and the phase that I'm currently in is, I'd say, the one that feels as though it's the most fulfilling. And my Guruji talks about this. He says, try meditating after sitting on your ass all day. He didn't say it like that, but he's like, try meditating after just sitting around and not doing anything all day. So good luck, because the rajas in your brain is just going to be so sort of that vata imbalance is crazy. So when you really embrace the action and the motion and the service and devotion, then life ends up being able to flow in all the cosmic light into your body when you do sit for meditation. And when it is your time to go in and dissolve and actually renounce the external world, because really in the end, that's what meditation is it's temporarily renouncing everything. Such a the utmost degree of practicing dispassion in every moment, because your brain is going to have thoughts, the impressions from your days, weeks, months, lifetimes. There's these impressions in your mind, and they come to the surface, and then, oh, I love what Ram Dass said. Someone taught me this the other day. He's like, so, or no, so. So you just get the so everything and let go. So and let go. So and let go. Yeah, so that is really, I feel like, applicable in this day and age when we have all these spiritual teachings that, if taken so extremely and taken, without the full context, also, one may jump to conclusions like, oh yeah, I should just like say the words that I don't want anything, I don't need anything, I don't, uh, and also put the action with it that I'm not going to take any action. And that could really be easy to do in today's day and age. But if you're somebody who, like myself, has went through these phases of thinking that I don't want anything, I don't need anything, then you would see how that either is negatively impacting your own body and your own life, or your dependency on other people to do the worldly things for you, end up, really biting others and yourself in the long run in the butt. Because you, my friend, could be out right now doing exactly what it is that you love and telling people, yo, I'm really good at this and I love doing it, and it costs 3 schmeckles for this interaction and engagement, and I'm gonna go and take these schmeckles to my landlord and to the fruit dispenser man. So yeah, what are your thoughts, Matt?
Yeah, 100%. That thing that you're talking about, like claiming renunciation, urgency, is
Can you bring that other headphone up towards you? Because I think I'm having trouble maybe hearing, and yep, that's what it is.
Oh, okay. Yep. All right. Yeah, true. So we'll use that. That's now. Can you hear me better?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of what you're saying, like, comes back to something from Choking Trump.
No, it's doing something.
It's doing something again.
Yeah.
Let's see. Maybe I'll try.
Intermission.
All right, we're back. Cool. All right, how's this sound?
Sounds good.
All right, cool. Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, Chogyam Trungpa talked about that and called it like, which maybe he didn't coin the term, but like spiritual bypass, where you say like, this is my spiritual practice. That's why I don't have to do these certain things, or that's why I'm, I'm so holy and all these things. So you then you end up like being a jerk. But it's like, like that.
First, I didn't want to say it quite like that. Because I've been that jerk, dude.
Right. Like you said, it's like it tends to be, it can be, just like a stage on the journey. Like everybody kind of has to go through that because it's just part of it. And we get real gung ho in the beginning about all these things and the idea of being purer than others, or oh, I've done all these austerities, I'm this way, so I'm somehow some kind of great thing. um uh, and it's just the ego playing game. It's always trying to go through that um trying to be better or whatever it is. There's this animal instinct that we have to try and dominate. And so even spirituality can be kind of hijacked with that same animal instincts that are within us. But and there's something too that there's something that like Kriyananda said that really resonates with what you're saying too, where he's like, like finding God is like the highest goal you could possibly do, like have on the planet, in this incarnation, in this life. Like to find God is the highest purpose we could have. And he's like, so if you can't even like generate enough if you can't take care of yourself in this world, how could you expect to find God? Like it's going to be that much harder to find God. It's like when you're not feeding yourself, or you're not taking care of yourself, or you're being lazy and just telling your parents you're super spiritual, well, you don't have to find a job or something like that.
Yeah.
To use your analogy there. And so it's, the physical world and the spiritual realm are the same thing. We're here to develop physically and to develop mentally and spiritually. It's all one. So we want to be somebody that people look up to, that people want to be around, that you're making people happier, you have your own life in order. And so then people ask you, what is it that you're doing? And then and then you share from that place, rather than, and then you don't have to go around telling people you're spiritual when you if you're actually spiritual. It's just is who you are. You're a loving, kind person, and it emanates out from the heart, from just a natural state of being. And your connection to spirit, to God or universe, whatever people want to call it, it emanates from within and then shows in your outer life, and how you're treating people, and how you're working, how you're dedicated, how you're willing to go the extra mile in any moment, or, your ability to not get overwhelmed or frustrated, or reacting in anger, and all these kinds of things. Like those are the things that show our connection to spirit, and our love for God, which is also a love for each other. It's the same thing. And so how we're treating each other is a reflection of our connection to spirit, to God. So yeah, it does have to be shown in our, day-to-day lives. And, there's another thing with Kriyananda or Yogananda that said, our religion is tested in the cold light of day. And this is something that my brother likes to repeat to me all the time. And it's true, you know, it's in those moments that are really frustrating throughout the day, or in those times when you realize that life is, it's difficult, you know, but you do the practices, you tune in, you chant the mantras, you do all the things that help you to be a better person in the world, you know, in the world, but not attached to anything, is as Christ said, right? In the world, but not of the world. So you can still go through life and have, you know, have a partner, have a house, have a job, have all these things, but you're not defining yourself by all these things, and you're not creating an identity that is based on whether or not those things are there, you know. Also brings up another another point where there was like kind of an anecdotal story of a guy who, you know, prior to you know, when his life was going well, he didn't think he needed spirituality. He wasn't going to go to the ashram. He wasn't going to do what the guru said, meditate or do any of the things, because, you know, he had money and he had a job and a wife, and then he lost all those things, and then he went to the ashram and said, okay, now I'm renouncing the world, I've decided. And then guru said, you know, you haven't renounced the world, the world renounced you. That one can be, it feels even harsh to say that story, but it's like sometimes that's it too. It's like we can't just say it that way either. It's like, oh, now that everything's gone wrong, oh, now I'm a renunciate. It's like that can be a convenient way to to be going through something, but it's like we're also like you've talked about the Dwapara Yuga, you know, now we are in the Dwapara Yuga, and this is the teaching of Sri Yukteswar, and in the book called The Holy Science, he explains the pattern of the yugas, and so right now we are 300 years into Dwapara Yuga, and which we were previously in. It's called Kali Yuga, which is a very material age. We are when the planet is furthest away from what Sri Yukteswar called its dual, the dual of our galaxy, which is, as far as I can understand, basically the cosmic emission of consciousness. And so there's an elliptical orbit of the planet of our galaxy around this dual. And so in Kali Yuga, we were in a very materialistic time, you know, where people couldn't even talk about energy, you know, they weren't seeing electricity, they couldn't understand the energy in the body. It was just all very physical, you know. If you could touch it, see it, smell it, taste it, then it was real. Anybody speaking of anything else was, you know, either a witch or just a lunatic or whatever. So they couldn't understand these things. But now in the Dwapara Yuga, the age of energy, which is also an age of individualism and realizing our individual desires and being able to live in the world again. You know, when we were in this super materialistic age, the teachings had to be, you know, there was no other option other than to like go live in the cave and meditate. Like that was the only way it was going to happen, because trying to live in a super materialistic world like that was just, you know, it wasn't possible to connect with spirit in that way. But now that we've moved into this new age where we're actually in an upward swing, moving back towards that dual, back towards that emission of consciousness, it's more appropriate for us to be living in the world and connecting to spirit at the same time. So it's like using the practices as an applicable way to live in the world, to you know, be an individual, to know what that means, and to realize the self in that way through this incarnation. And I feel like it's a much more in-depth journey than this idea of trying to just sit by yourself and realize God. Like when you really have to go out into the world and deal with the just day-to-day things, traffic, being in the grocery store, just being around other people in general that maybe can be off-putting. These things really, they, test the religion in the cold light of day, and it makes it a much more dynamic experience. So yeah, it's important that now we really go into the world, but at the same time are constantly mentally, spiritually connected to spirit and acting from that point, from that connection within. So I feel like, yeah, so, and that's a lot of what's going on in the world now. I highly recommend taking up a meditation practice, 'cause I don't know how I would be making it through without at least taking that time to just, even when my mind is still just racing and I'm just like thinking through, and I can, have thoughts through an entire hour of meditation, but even with wrestling with that and just sitting in those times and really watching what the mind does, just being more aware of what the mind is doing is so helpful and just becomes so necessary.
Oh, damn. Well, things come and they go and they whim and they wham and they change and they blam, but I think Matt's going to be coming back. He's going to come back any second now. The physical world is completely spiritual. The spiritual world is completely physical. Unity consciousness is indivisible. We the crystalline being, star seed indigo. You can do what you wanna. I'ma do what I wanna. Try to limit me and you are gonna pop off in my Vermont. I know what that is. She popped that Mississippi masala. I do the Bhagwad 8-star like Peter Parker. Something like that. Shouts out to Illuminati Congo. Well, in the meantime, I guess I'll let you know something cool. So, for seeking alertness with our attention, we would emphasize the inhale like this. And then we get to still be in a parasympathetic state, but our heart rate elevates subtly in a healthy way to where now we'll have a little bit more attention. So if you're listening to this and finding yourself being a little drift offy or unable to focus, so Matt is coming back. Unless his phone died. If his phone died, then We'll just sing you guys a song. I'm gonna sing you guys a song right now. Expressing through the lessons, not pressing, just trusting. Awakening is a must win. These in slavery were now aligned with inner peace. Grasping all the lessons from the people that we meet, the places that we be, places that we see, inwardly and outwardly, to make us in alignment. Following the flow to scratch shadows off the list to make bliss our mission. By healing ourselves first as love, we get to kiss it. Energy is shifted to upliftment and ancient wisdom. Getting lighter, my heart spreading wider. I'm drawing pictures in my binder. A fire bender playing with the air. Got the vata with my vatos, eating vegan tacos. Coconut sprouts is my tortilla. I am lit and let me be your inspiration to start receiving prana from the Kriya. Yoga, get a load of this breath to better express the feelings in your tummy and move them up to your chest. So just do your best with every single wink and every breath you take. So don't ever let another's opinion make you frown. Just drown in the sea of acceptance and be relentless. But tapping into your stillness and feel this bliss. So perfectly unwrapped with intention. Not to mention, how does it feel to be loving and making memories? How does it feel when you look at yourself? How do we feel when we look at ourselves inside of the mirror? Could it get any clearer? Your perfection underneath all the things you were taught. You were taught in what you thought, because what happens when you reverse in the clock? Time runs back and then you just laugh. Time runs back and then you just realize it's all right here, right now, inside our grasp. Just ask source to go where your attention flows. Energy will go to manifest. Only press onwards, looking upwards. I know you do much more than hear my words. Expressing through the lessons, not pressing, just trusting. Awakening is a must win. Humanity's in slavery, we're now aligned with inner peace. Grasping all the lessons from the people that we meet, the places that we be, places that we see, inwardly and outwardly, make us in alignment. Following the flow to scratch shadows off the list to make bliss our mission. By healing ourselves first as love, we get to kiss it. Energy is shifted to upliftment and ancient wisdom. Getting lighter, my heart spreading wider. I'm drawing pictures in my binder. A fire bender playing with the air. Got the vata with my mat, eating tacos. Coconut sprouts is our tortilla. Yep, I'm lit and let me be your inspiration to start receiving prana from the Kriya. All right, Matt, what's up, bro? Did your phone die?
Yep. Yeah, we're back, plugged in and everything now.
But your video is off, if you didn't know.
Oh, okay. Uh,
Cool.
right.
Sweet. I just sang a song while you were gone.
That's awesome. I'm really glad that was happening when I came back. Perfect.
Gotta make it work.
That's right.
Yeah, so emphasize something that came up when you were talking was yeah, there's this Illuminati Congo. Your video's going again. There's this Illuminati Congo uh lyric that he says, uh, oh man, matter spirit. Oh, the physical world is completely spiritual. Spiritual world is completely physical. Unity consciousness is indivisible. We the crystalline beings, star seed, indigo. Yeah. So, oh yeah, indigo. So I don't know what it means to other people, but to me, what indigo means is the light when you see your causal body or your subtle body when you close your eyes and you can, focus on perceiving your prana. And when you get the nice indigo colored, infinite black indigo space with your eyes closed, usually typically coincides with the sensation of bliss. That to me is what indigo is. But to talk about what we were saying is that, yeah, man, we think that somehow we're being spiritual by acting as though things in the physical don't matter or aren't satisfying, or they're not worth any of our time. But really, in the end, the physical world is completely spiritual. The spiritual world is completely physical. Unity consciousness is indivisible. We're the crystalline beings, starseed indigo. So you can do what you wanna. I'm gonna do what I wanna. Try to limit me and you are gonna. Yeah, I'm not gonna say the rest of the song. I think I already said it again. But yeah, we we act as though sometimes that somehow, ooh, like the physical world is to be like ignored or it's no good. But what I've come to find throughout quite a bit of trying to do just that is that instead of being able to have a grounded, centered, focused, stable, a, a- willing and able, full and capable expression of yourself, that's not going to be done unless there's some direction. And that direction for me is simply sourced from the guidance when I ask my soul, what should I be doing? How should I be being right now in this moment? And what I found is that when we ask ourselves for this guidance and we close our eyes and we take a deep breath, and we ask ourselves, self, how could I right now be using these hands to make more love, to make more fun, to make more abundance and joy in my life and the lives of others? Self, how may I use these hands to bring about more love in my life, more love in others' lives, and more bliss all around? And when we go inside and we ask ourselves for this guidance, typically we will get some kind of response. And it might even look like it's time to do the laundry, a smelly beep ba doop ba doop bop. But that means start off with your laundry, and that's okay. And then you'll check back in after you've gotten some of the essentials done, the non negotiables. And then you'll get some kind of creative inspiration. Thing I want to touch on about is in regards to karma, which is action, and how to be able to be our fullest expression in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and be able to be in the war of life. And the war internally, you can win against your fear and hate kind of vibrations, jealous in all of their derivatives, jealousy, greed, etc. How we can internally win that battle, because the battlefield is really just inside of ourselves. But then if you were to also use the analogy, which I feel as though this is applicable to what the Gita is about as well, is just the battlefield of life. And to be someone who is knowing what they don't know, but they get glimpses of infinity, and they go out into their world and they do the duties that they must do. And to me, there's some non negotiables that are just absolutely crucial and essential for my physical, mental, emotional health on a daily basis. And what these are to me is, for one, doing the Kriya and a meditation, getting a little bit of some exercise throughout the day. I've been going to the gym, getting able to at some point just do something where you're like shaking all of your body, and like you're just shaking, and you just get your energy moving. somehow, some way. You get to move. And maybe that looks like running for you. Maybe it really just looks like just bouncing around, just doing some primal movement, something. And uh, other than that, when I do these things, then I naturally end up being able to have fluid creations come from me. And then those become part of the non-negotiables too, because what'll happen is you're going to be so tapped in, tuned in, and turned up on life with all this newly cultivated prana that it's going to be impossible for you to just want to sit down and do nothing. Because when we take care of our main sources of energy and we get the rest that we need, we get the sleeping rest, the meditating rest, when we have our focus on love, on God, on the remembrance that all things are made of self, and I would like to reveal thyself. I would like to further understand and experience in the way and the time that it is made for this body to, and this mind to, well, I point here, but really the mind is every year, all here. But I want to be able to know more. So when we're putting our focus on creation, focus on love, focus on God, focus on just like, oh wow, I'm focusing on my step that I just took, step. I'm very present with my breath, and I'm present with feeling a sense of calmness and summoning that, and getting good rest, putting good food inside of our bellies, being of service to others, and uh, whatever kind of content we're consuming. When we're really doing all of these actions in a wholesome, balanced way, where we're asking for guidance internally to root the and stem and blossom out the potentials of what we could do with our hands, lips, and ears and eyes and all the senses, then what I found is that when it is time to actually sit down and meditate, or it is time to sleep, you will have a completely different experience than if you weren't looking to be active in this physical world, which is completely spiritual. Because our mission here is for you to make, and there's no specific mission in my eyes. Your mission might be to be, I remembered it, Malarepa. Have you heard of that guy?
Oh yeah, yeah.
That might be your mission, but like then it's our mission to like either then it's our mission to either take care of that shit, or maybe you just bow down to the guru in front of us or something like that. I don't know. But so for everybody who doesn't know, Malarepa, this is super heady, and like if somebody's, people might not like this. But so there's
so
yeah,
great though.
it's pretty crazy. So long story short, there's this crazy ass dude who goes around killing sages, and he cuts their thumbs off. Like I guess Mala's thumb, or I don't know. It's 108 thumb man. That's what the name breaks down to. I'm pretty sure. So he's chopping off these thumbs and putting them around his mala beads. So he has 108 thumbs, but he only has 107. And then he Buddha. Is this were you thinking about the same story?
Oh no, I hadn't heard this part of that of Milarepa. No.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So I'll tell you, but yeah, go on.
So vows to the last one that he was gonna have to kill, to supposedly what the Buddha said. This is why it's so spun to me, but I guess this would explain people like Hitler. So, uh, so if he was to actually have killed the Buddha and taken his thumb, he would have received liberation after this life, full liberation, because of having completely, I guess, learned all of the karmic lessons of in all of the different incarnations of every possible variation of extreme love and service to self, or extreme hate. Well, other way around. Extreme love and service to others, and extreme hate, which is service to self, which is all really in the end the same thing. So I guess there's people like Milarepa going about to take that 108th thumb, but he gets seen in the eyes of the Buddha, who's emanating with pure ahimsa and love and radiating that nonviolence. And he just bows and he's like, no, like I bow to you. And Buddha was like, are you sure you don't want to take my life? Because you'll receive instant liberation if you do so. But but if not, you're gonna have to be sitting at my feet for a couple thousand years. He's like, no, that's it. That's what I'm gonna do. It's like, okay, oh, cool. So that was that story, and I'm sure there's some significance in it that I don't fully fathom and can't conceptualize, but or I haven't yet, or maybe when I hear it again another time, it'll make more sense. But to me, to kind of, and I want to hear your story of Milarepa too. I wanted to just like top this off with the whipped cream and cherry, put the straw in the cup by saying that our action sometimes can be really bad, and our actions doesn't need to be as though it's like this is our one mission and I know for sure this is my mission, but maybe your mission is to go kill Milarepa, or maybe your mission is to go and take people from Germany during World War II and like get them somewhere else. Or maybe your mission is to do that with like the slaves back in the day, or be like a secret assassin when they were going and burning all of the Black Wall Street. I forget the name of the city, but they like went, and they don't talk about this in the books, but they went and like burned down Black Wall Street, where everybody was like, just it was a completely liberated people who were, their family lineage was probably slaves before, and now they're like doing successful, uh, making their community work, and then boom, all the white people go, not all the white people, but all of those sickos that happen to be white, went and burned their shit and killed them and took over. And maybe it's your mission, if that gets you excited, to like go and be a stand for good, because that's messed up, dude. Like those people, I mean, like if you're watching this, obviously that those kinds of things triggers something in you. It's like, how could somebody be so terrible to like hate whole races of people and enslave people and Holocaust people? Like, how on earth? So to acknowledge that that's part of our reality sometimes, and maybe our purpose and our mission and our action that we need to be taking in this life is to, maybe it's not as nowhere near as extreme as that, hopefully in our lifetime. Well, I don't want to say hopefully, not yet in my lifetime have I had to do anything quite as extreme as helping people against oppressors to that degree, but maybe some varying degree of that is the need for action. So for someone to be like, oh, I'm spiritual, I don't need to do anything, like, no, bro, there's people out there that need your help right now. For me, it's for people, especially the drug addicts and trauma victims, and people who are just like struggling mentally. That's why I do my breath coaching. I want people to see that you can rewire your brain to get all the right drugs in your own damn brain if you've been seeking them externally with sex, drugs, food, porn, whatever. Like, that's all in your brain, and I've made that my mission because that's what's given me so much fulfillment. And I feel like I made that my mission with guidance from the infinite potential. So Milarepa has another story. What's your mission?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. And yeah, that it touches on something too. So I've been studying the Ramayana with, and something goes along with the artwork that I'm creating with my brother and all of that as well. And so there was a story that I was listening to today, and it was the kind of the backstory of the demon king Ravana in the story. So in the Ramayana, there's the demon, and then there's the god who incarnates as a man on Earth to battle the demon. And so the backstory of the demon king who goes, and he you know it's quite the story, but basically it goes into exactly what you're saying about how there are these roles that are given to us as souls to incarnate and go through and play the role perfectly. And so uh, if we take the story all the way back, right? The story goes that there were these two guards who were guarding the temple for Vishnu, I believe, and and Vishnu told them, don't let anybody in. I'm gonna be sleeping for a while, and so they guard the gate, and then these sages come to the gate and they say, "Oh, let us in. We have a message for Vishnu." And then they're two brothers, and one of them turns to the other, and he's like, "Well, we gotta let them in. These sages. Like, if we don't let them in, they're gonna curse us." And then the other brother was like, "No, man. Like Vishnu said, no. We gotta tell them they can't come in." And so they were kind of going back and forth, and so then they eventually said, like, "All right, well, we got to do what Vishnu said, right?" And then they tell the sages they can't come in, and then the sages give them this curse and tell them that uh, they will have to be something along the lines of live like these other lifetimes that are gonna be unfortunate, right? And so then eventually Vishnu wakes up and comes to them, and they go and tell him like, "Hey, these sages showed up, and we didn't let them through, so they cursed us, like, what are we gonna do?" And then Vishnu's like, "Well, you did what I said, but the curse still works." And so he's like, you can either take one lifetime on Earth, and you'll both be the uh, most hated people in the whole universe, or you can take 5 lifetimes, and but in each lifetime you'll be everyone will love you, but you'll be poor. And then so they kind of converse between each other, and they said, well, we don't want to be outside of your presence for that long, so it doesn't matter to us whether or not on Earth we're hated. We just want to be back in the presence of God. So they say they'll take the lifetime of being hated, and these two actually incarnate as Ravana and his brother. Oh, what's his no, I can't remember his brother's name right now, but
Oh yeah.
so they actually incarnate as the most demonic evil forces that ever enter the universe, right? And they end up, so being born, and then um, what they do, because they're such high souls, they immediately after being born, they like begin to develop really fast, and then they go together into the forest, and they start meditating, and then the story is like, and then they enter into infinity, and then so in infinity, Ravana was born with 10 heads, and he's just this big giant monster of a creature, right? And so in infinity, Ravana starts doing all these puja, all these different like prayers and austerities.
Oh yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, like to the god Brahma. And so, and then in the over 1,000 years, every 1,000 years he cuts off one of the 10 heads, and then offers it to Brahma, right? And then he's finally getting to like his last head, and he's about to cut off his last head, and Brahma shows up, and he's like, "Okay,
No,
yeah."
you freaking lunatic. What's
Yeah, he's
wrong with
just like, well, he just goes, what is he? He says this funny thing, the way Ramdas put it when he read the story. He's like, your determination is just unbearable. Like, I just had to come and stop you. Like, what do you want? And so he goes, oh well, he gave him these 3 boons, and he said he didn't want to be able to be killed by any god or demon, and he says all these things that he wants. He wants to be all powerful, all these things, and but he doesn't mention man or
monkeys, bitch?
yeah, he doesn't mention monkeys. He doesn't mention humans because he figures that won't be a problem. And and so he goes throughout the world, and he's destroying all of Indra's temple. He goes to the gods and takes over the heavenly realms. He goes and does all these terrible things, and each time he does something terrible, one of the characters in the story curses him, so he keeps going, but he just figures like, oh, I'm infinitely powerful, and none of these things really matter. And so he keeps doing terrible things, and like more and more, and then he eventually gets to the point where the gods go to Vishnu and they say, what do we do? And so he's like, well, he didn't mention man, and he didn't mention animal, so he's like, so we'll incarnate as a man.
Yo, Shiva.
What's that?
The Yo Shiva.
Yeah, and then so Shiva incarnates as Hanuman, and Vishnu incarnates as Ram, and then they go through their story and meet up, and eventually end up destroying the demon. But it's such an amazing story, but it plays into that same thing where it's like, that was just the story that life wanted to live through. Like, for some reason we like a really good story.
The
so
God
there
comes down.
has
You crazy ass man. Stop. I love that so much. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's pretty, man. The Ramayana is so good, and it's like, uh, yeah, it's like these we we like these dramatic stories. It's like we wouldn't go watch a movie that was just like someone's really boring life where they like everything was perfect, and then they ended up in this white picket house, and all the different things, and it was great. There was never any problems. Like, nobody's watching that movie. And so it's like same thing in life. Like, there have to be struggles, there have to be good guys and bad guys. There's all these things so that we do become the hero, so that we do incarnate and know why we want to be the one who's spreading love and helping people, and this allows us to go through that process and learn our, our souls and our physical incarnation. Spirit and physical is all the same, so we're learning all these things through what we're going through, and as Yogananda put it, he's like, the villain is created so that you know not to become the villain. If you become the villain, then your throat must be cut. But you want to be the hero, we all want to be the hero. We want to be the good guy who ends up with, and at the same time, like you're saying, we want the, you want to get the girl, or you want to get the guy, and you want to have the nice life, but you go through the hero's journey in order to get to those things, and then you have that appreciation for them, and then you also want to help guide other people through their journey, and that's what makes this whole thing fun. And also terrifying at the same time. So it's got all, like, this life has all the things we could ever ask for, and a lot of the things we thought we didn't sign up for, maybe, but it was in this print, maybe. Or whatever.
Somehow it's in the script.
Yeah. And we learned through it, so it's really, there was one thing that I was looking to in this, in talking about kind of the purpose of this life. So this is again from The Essence of Self-Realization, by compilation of Yogananda's teachings from Swami Kriyananda. And so here, this is quote from Paramhansa Yogananda. He says, Those who are immersed in body consciousness are like strangers in a foreign land. Our native country is omnipresent. On earth, we are but travelers, guests on a brief visit. Unfortunately, most people make undesirable guests of themselves. They insist on monopolizing a small portion of this earth as their very own. Their constant thought is, my home, my wife, my husband, my children. Material entanglements, sweet and mysterious, keep them dreaming through the sleep of delusion. They forget who and what they really are. Wake up before your dream of life vanishes into the infinite. When this body drops in death, where will your family be? Your home, your money? You are not this body. The body is only a plate given to you that you might eat from it, the feast of spirit. Why not learn this essential lesson before death? Why wait? Don't tie yourself to the limitations of human consciousness, but rather the vastness of the spirit within.
I like that. I love that. I actually remember that part.
Yeah.
I think because thanks to you guys, I've listened to that book now like 2 times at least.
Amazing. Yeah, it's so good. You could listen to it a million times and hear something new every time. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Man. Yeah, what a life. Like, and I love how today that's the topic that we're going over, because right now I don't feel like, oh, I'm like so exhausted I need to sleep, but I just feel like so kind of just like dreamy, like just chill because I did so much stuff today, dude. And I mean, a lot of that was, just guiding people through meditation and meditating with them. But a lot of it also has been like studying all of this marketing kinds of things to be able to actually get this love to people instead of it just being like all right here and to myself and to my immediate surroundings. How can I effectively serve like more people? And really being like, okay, I surrender. Like, I got it, God. Like, I have to learn some things and apply some things to actually be able to effectively, get my love out to more people. And yeah, I just find myself right now. For those who don't know, I guess there's no way you would know. Um, it is 11:32 right now, and we have been doing these episodes super late at night, starting at like around 10 o'clock or later. And I think it's been a really cool dynamic. And yeah, it's been so nice. So, um, yeah, I honestly, Matt, I feel as though I'm tapped out when it comes to flowing with creative words. But what I would love is if you if you read to us and something, one of them.
do another reading.
Yeah, read as long as you want until you get bored, and then and then maybe we should close.
Yeah, we'll do one more reading, and then we'll do a little close. Cause yeah, that's perfect. And yeah, it's a really great way to end the day in this way. So and I've been super busy as well. So like I was telling you earlier, it's just like go go go, uh, and then we get together and kind of talk about it all. So
Yeah,
it's been great.
yeah,
Um,
for real. And I just know that this is gonna be helpful, no matter how sloppy it looks a little bit, dude. Like when it comes to like us saying like, oh yeah, it's almost time to go. We don't need a plan. Like we don't need any of that. Like, I really feel as though that this is just gonna provide value to people who actually end up listening this far into these things. If you're still listening right now, which I'm intending on many people to be still listening right now at some point, maybe in tomorrow or a year from now. I don't know, but obviously that's not our ideal person is not somebody who's going to be tripping about like us being people. So
Yeah.
I love that so much, and that's why I love that we're doing this. And yeah, so let's hear what you got, Matt.
Perfect. Yeah. All right. So here in the spirit of just being people, but also incarnations of spirit. So here it says, always in all things, behold God as the doer. It is a matter of inner attitude. It isn't the outward show of humility that so many devotees assume from a desire to impress others. A little story will illustrate what I mean. The gopis used to go every day to bring fresh cheese to Krishna.
I love this story.
Yes. One day, the river Jamuna was in spate, and the gopis couldn't cross it to reach him. What shall we do? They cried. And then they remembered Vyasa, a great devotee of Krishna, who lived on their own side of the river. Vyasa is a saint, they cried. Let's go to him. Perhaps he'll perform a miracle for us and help us somehow to get across the river. They went and asked him to help them reach Krishna. Krishna, Krishna, Vyasa shouted, pretending to be displeased. All I ever hear is Krishna. What about me? Well, the gopis were very embarrassed. The cheese was for Krishna, but still they didn't dare refuse Vyasa a taste of it, since they asked him to help them. So they offered him a little bit, and Vyasa ate and ate and ate, apparently with the greatest relish. When he had eaten as much as his stomach could hold, he somehow carried himself to the river bank, and then he cried, "O river Jamuna, if I have not eaten anything, divide up and part." What a liar, the gopis whispered amongst themselves. Just see how he has gorged himself, and now he dares to command the river's obedience on the very condition that he hasn't eaten anything? At that moment, the river parted. Not pausing to ponder this mystery, the gopis rushed across to the other side. There, as they approached Krishna's hut, they found him asleep. What's this? They wondered. Usually Krishna was standing outside his hut, eagerly awaiting their visit and the cheese. Lord, they cried, aren't you hungry today? Replied Krishna, opening his eyes sleepily. We've brought you your cheese, Lord. Oh, thank you, said Krishna, but I'm no longer hungry. But why? Has someone fed you already? Oh, yes, he replied. That fellow Vyasa on the other bank. He has fed me too much already. Vyasa, you see, had offered the food first to Krishna and had thought of him constantly while eating it. He didn't eat in ego consciousness, but only in the thought that Krishna was eating through him. In that way, every devotee should feel that God is acting through him. Stop dwelling on the thought of I. Sing ever in your heart instead, thou, Lord, only thou. And that's with that thought, that's how we can go through the world and at the same time enjoy it and be a human, be living in the world and really enjoy it, because it is the divine spirit that is incarnated to enjoy his creation through us. But we're not attaching ourselves or in need through this enjoyment. It's an offering of everything back to the infinite, back to God. And in the end, we have to offer everything we are back to that, whether we get there kicking and screaming or we're freely offering it all back up and dissolving into pure bliss consciousness. It's our choice. So with that, I think it's a good way to wrap this one up.
I think you couldn't have said it any better.
Beautiful, my brother. Well, this has been super fun. Really glad we had the energy to keep going and
Thank you, Matt.
make this happen. Yes, thank you.
And thank you, everybody who's listening. We're excited to have you back on the next Beyond Boundaries podcast. You can catch us every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on Zoom. Tuesdays, the free guided meditation for about 20 to 30 minutes every Wednesday. Might start doing it on Monday instead, so Matt could be a part of it, because I know where you're at Wednesday at this time. He's at Satsang in St. Pete. So I'm trying to find at least a day or two a week to have a group paid hour-long breath session. So either Monday or Wednesday. And yeah, Thursday's integration group. So come and sit with the sacrament and then be able to sit in the group chat. Or if you're pondering the sacrament, that can also be a reason to be found in the group chat. And I love how, like, in a year from now, it's going to be like funny looking back and talking about all of these things, because it's going to have evolved so much from like these 3 little Zoom calls a week. I can just tell it's going to be like somehow a different structure, and this is going to be funny then. But yeah, great. Well, thank you so much, Matt. And I love everybody who's watching, and good night.
Yes, thank you, Kashi.
Jay
Love you all.
Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.
Love you, Matt. Talk to you
Love
soon,
you.
bro.
Talk to you soon. Night.
Peace.